Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, park friends on the journey of life. There comes a moment when you wake up and realize that the chains you thought were holding you down were never really locked. The fears you carried were borrowed. The limitations you believed in were planted by others. The doubts you repeated were nothing but echoes of old voices. Today, I want to remind you of a liberating truth. Nothing and nobody controls you anymore. Your life belongs to you. Your mind belongs to you. Your spirit belongs to you. World may try to shape you, control you, or dictate who you should be, but at the end of the day, the power to decide, to rise, and to live fully rests in your own hands. Freedom doesn't mean that life will be easy. Freedom means you no longer live as a prisoner of fear, judgment, or other people's expectations. You reclaim your identity. You stop handing over the keys of your soul. You start writing your own story. So, let us dive into 7 powerful truths that flow from this realization that nothing and nobody controls you anymore. One of the greatest prisons in this world is the prison of other people's opinions. From the time we are children, we are told what to wear, how to behave, what career to choose, even who we should love and how we should live. Slowly, without realizing it, we begin to measure ourselves not by our own standards, but by the constantly changing expectations of those around us. We dress to be accepted, we speak to be liked, we act to avoid criticism, and in doing so, we lose the most precious thing we have, our authentic self. But the truth is this: you are not here to perform for others, you are here to live for yourself. The world will always have something to say. If you rise too high, they will say you are arrogant. If you stay too quiet, they will say you are weak. If you follow your dreams, they will say you are unrealistic. And if you play it safe, they will say you lack ambition. Either way, you cannot win the approval of everyone. Because people judge not based on who you really are, but based on the limitations of their own minds. The moment you realize that their opinions don't define you, an incredible freedom enters your life. You stop asking, what will they think? And you start asking, what do I truly want? You stop dressing your soul in masks, and you start showing up as your raw, unapologetic self. Think about it. If you spend your life being shaped like clay in the hands of others, you'll never know your true form. But when you break free from their control, you discover the unique masterpiece you were born to be. So, let the critics talk. Let the doubters doubt. Let the world whisper behind your back. Remember, their words are not chains unless you let them bind you. Their disapproval is not a wall unless you choose to stop at it. Real power lies in ignoring the noise and walking your path with confidence. When you are no longer controlled by other people's opinions, you become untouchable. You create, you grow, you rise, not because someone approves, but because your heart calls you forward. And that, my friends, is the first and most powerful sign that nothing and nobody controls you anymore. Running through the park. True freedom is not just about doing whatever you want. It's about understanding that with every choice you make, you are shaping your destiny. Too often, people live their lives blaming circumstances, blaming society, or blaming other people for where they are. They say, I couldn't succeed because my parents didn't support me, or I couldn't be happy because my boss doesn't appreciate me, or I couldn't follow my dreams because the world is unfair. While these struggles may be real, the truth is even more powerful. The moment you take ownership of your choices, nobody can control you anymore. When you hand over responsibility for your life to others, you hand over your power as well. You become a passenger instead of the driver, dictator instead of the creator. But when you decide, no matter what, my life is my responsibility, something shifts inside you. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for opportunities to be handed to you, and you stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You understand that every decision, small or big, carries weight, and you are willing to carry it. Yes, you will make mistakes. Yes, sometimes your choices will not lead to the outcome you hoped for. But here's the beauty. Mistakes are not signs of weakness. They are signs of courage. Every wrong turn teaches you something. Every failure shapes your wisdom. Every setback builds resilience. When you own your choices, even your failures become stepping stones toward a stronger version of yourself. Think of it this way: life is like a canvas. If you let others hold the brush, they will paint their own vision on it. But if you take control, even if your strokes are messy and imperfect at first, at least the painting belongs to you. It's your art, your creation, your truth. And with time, your skills sharpen, your vision becomes clearer, and the masterpiece begins to reveal itself. Taking ownership of your choices also means embracing freedom from guilt and blame. You no longer waste energy pointing fingers. Instead, you channel that energy into finding solutions, growing stronger, and moving forward. Responsibility doesn't weigh you down. It empowers you because you know you are in control of your destiny. So let this be your declaration. I own my life. I own my choices. I own my consequences. Because when you live this way, nobody else can manipulate you, control you, or hold you hostage. Your freedom is rooted in the courage to accept responsibility, and that is the foundation of true independence. Fear is one of the most powerful invisible chains that has ever controlled human beings. Whispers in your ear every time you want to take a leap of faith. What if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if you lose everything? And so many people stay where they are, not because they lack ability, not because they lack talent, but simply because fear has convinced them to stand still. For years, fear becomes the quiet dictator of our choices, tells us which dreams to pursue and which ones to abandon, tells us which risks are too big and which ambitions are too unrealistic. Fear makes us settle for mediocrity instead of striving for greatness, because mediocrity feels safe. Fear makes us silence our voices instead of speaking the truth, because silence feels comfortable, keeps us from flying, because flying means leaving the ground we're used to. But here is the truth: fear only has as much power as you give it. Fear is like a shadow, large, dark, and intimidating. But if you dare to walk into it, you realize it cannot harm you. The moment you stop letting fear make your decisions, you begin to live a life guided not by insecurity, but by possibility. Running through the park, freedom from fear doesn't mean you will never feel it again. It means you learn to look fear in the eyes and keep walking. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear sit in the driver's seat of your life. Imagine how many dreams have died, not because people lacked talent, but because they allowed fear to whisper, "You're not ready." And they believed it. When nothing and nobody controls you anymore, fear loses its throne, asking, "What could go wrong?" and start asking, "What could go right?" You stop being paralyzed by the idea of failure and start realizing that failure is not the end. It is only feedback, a lesson, a redirection towards something greater. Think of every great leader, every inventor, every artist, every hero in history. Do you think they had no fear? Of course they did. But the difference is, they moved forward anyway. They chose to let vision be stronger than fear, passion be louder than doubt, and faith be deeper than insecurity. And that's what you must do. Because when fear no longer dictates your path, life opens up in unimaginable ways. You start exploring opportunities you once thought were impossible. You speak words you once held back. You take risks you once ran away from. And slowly you realize that the life you always dreamed of was waiting for you on the other side of fear. So, My friends, let fear knock on the door, it will. But when you open it, don't invite it in, don't let it unpack its bags, don't give it your keys. Smile at it, acknowledge it, and then walk forward anyway. Because when fear no longer controls you, running through the park, you discover the breathtaking power of living boldly, freely, and authentically. One of the most powerful shifts in life happens when you decide, once and for all, that you will no longer play the role of the victim. For years, many of us carry invisible chains. Chains of blame, chains of excuses, chains of why me. We convince ourselves that our failures are because of what someone else did. Our struggles are because of what life didn't give us. And our lack of progress is because of the unfair hand we were dealt. In that cycle of thinking, we unknowingly give away the keys to our own freedom. The truth is this: you cannot be free and be a victim at the same time. The victim mentality says, I can't change because they won't let me. The empowered mentality says, I will rise running through the park, no matter what they do. Playing the victim may give you sympathy, it may even give you excuses, but it will never give you growth, strength, or freedom. When you stop playing the victim, you stop waiting for life to be fair. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come. You stop waiting for others to fix what is broken inside you. Instead, you take back your power and say, even if the world is unfair, I will not remain stuck. Even if others have hurt me, I will not let their wounds define me. Even if I've been knocked down, I will rise again, stronger, wiser, and freer than before. The victim mindset thrives on focusing on what went wrong, but the victor mindset focuses on what can still be made right. The victim mindset says, look at what they did to me. The victor mindset says, look at what I can do now, despite it. That shift is everything, because the moment you stop clinging to the past, you begin creating your future. Understand this: yes, people may have betrayed you. Yes, life may have been unfair. Yes, you may have suffered in ways others will never understand. But your suffering is not a life sentence. It is a school. It is meant to shape you, not break you. If you stay in the role of the victim, you repeat the same story again and again. But if you choose to rise, you turn that pain into power, that hurt into healing, and that story into strength. Nobody who has ever achieved greatness did so by clinging to victimhood. They all had reasons to quit, reasons to complain, reasons to say, life is unfair. But they chose differently. They chose to see themselves as survivors, as warriors, as creators of destiny. And that same choice is available to you today. So, let today be the day you drop the label of victim and pick up the identity of victor. Refuse to live in the shadow of what was and step boldly into the light of what can be. Because when you stop playing the victim, you stop giving others power over you, you reclaim your story, you take control of your destiny. And that, my friends, is the path to true freedom. For so long, society has tried to tell us what success should look like. From the moment we step into school, we are measured by grades, rankings, and comparisons. Then, as we grow, the definition of success shifts into money, titles, possessions, fame, and social validation. We are told that unless we drive a certain car, live in a certain house, have a certain bank balance, or carry a certain reputation, we are somehow less. And many people spend their whole lives chasing this borrowed definition of success, only to find that even when they achieve it, still feel empty inside. But when nothing and nobody controls you anymore, you begin to see through the illusion. You realize that success is not a one-size-fits-all destination. It is a deeply personal journey. Success is not about what society applauds. It is about what gives your soul peace. For some, success might mean building a business empire, leading thousands, or creating innovation that changes the world. But for others, success may mean raising a loving family, finding inner peace, pursuing art, or living a simple, contented life surrounded by nature. Neither version is superior, because success is not about comparison. It is about alignment. Alignment with your values, your passions, and your vision for life. When you redefine success on your own terms, you no longer feel pressured by competition. You no longer measure your worth by someone else's highlight reel. You no longer feel the anxiety of always being behind, because you realize there is no behind. There is only your path, and your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Running through the park. Think about it, how many people are living lives that look successful from the outside but feel like prisons from the inside? They have the house, the money, the image, yet they lie awake at night restless, unfulfilled, and lost. Why? Because they pursued what society told them to, not what their soul called them to. The real victory is this: living in a way that feels true to you. Success could mean freedom of time, being able to choose how you spend your day. It could mean the ability to serve others, to give, to uplift, to create impact. It could mean pursuing your passions without apology, or waking up every morning with gratitude instead of stress. That is a form of success that no applause, no paycheck, and no recognition can give you, because it is rooted in authenticity. So, free yourself from the pressure to live by someone else's scoreboard. Don't let society, family, friends, or culture dictate what your life should mean. Ask yourself, what does success mean to me? What kind of life would make me feel proud, at peace, and fulfilled? Then, have the courage to chase that. Because when nothing and nobody controls you anymore, you are no longer chasing borrowed dreams. You are creating your own. You are not living a performance. You are living a purpose. And that, my friends, is the highest success anyone could ever achieve. One of the greatest signs of true freedom is the ability to walk away from what no longer serves you. For too long, many of us stay connected to toxic people, toxic environments, and toxic habits. Not because they bring us joy, but because we are afraid to let go. We hold on out of fear of loneliness, fear of rejection, or fear of starting over. But in reality, these attachments act like heavy chains around our ankles, keeping us from moving forward, keeping us from breathing freely, keeping us from becoming the person we were meant to be. Toxic attachments can take many forms. Sometimes they show up as relationships, friends who drain you, partners who belittle you, colleagues who manipulate you, or family members who constantly undermine you. Other times, toxic attachments appear as habits, addictions that numb you, routines that weaken you, or comfort zones that keep you stagnant. And sometimes, the toxicity comes from within, from old beliefs, unhealed wounds, or negative self-talk that you replay again and again. But here's the liberating truth. You are not obligated to stay tied to anything or anyone that poisons your peace. Love doesn't mean tolerating abuse. Loyalty doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity. And kindness doesn't mean becoming someone's doormat. When you realize that nothing and nobody controls you anymore, you find the strength to draw boundaries enough and to walk away when necessary. Detaching from toxic attachments doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. It doesn't make you selfish, it makes you healthy. Doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring for yourself as much as you care for others. Because the truth is, running through the park, you cannot heal in the same environment that keeps hurting you. You cannot rise if you keep clinging to the weights that pull you down. Walking away is not weakness, it is power. It takes far more strength to close a door than to remain trapped behind it. It takes courage to end relationships that no longer nurture your soul, to leave environments that suffocate your spirit, and to let go of habits that sabotage your future. Yes, it hurts at first. Yes, it feels uncomfortable. But that pain is temporary, while the freedom you gain is permanent. When you detach from toxic attachments, something beautiful happens. You create space. Space for healing, space for peace, space for new people, new opportunities, and new blessings to enter your life. The universe cannot give you what you deserve while your hands are still full of what is destroying you. Letting go is not the end, it is the beginning. So my friends, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that is holding me back? If it doesn't bring you growth, peace, or love, it doesn't belong in your future. Have the courage to release it. Because when you free yourself from toxic attachments, you discover a lighter, stronger, and more authentic version of yourself. One that is no longer controlled by fear, guilt, or manipulation. That is real freedom. That is real strength. The highest form of freedom is not shouting from the rooftops, not breaking chains in the physical sense, not even proving your strength to the world. The highest form of freedom is when you wake up every morning with a calm heart, a clear mind, and an unshakable spirit. This is what it means to live with inner peace and true power. For most of life, we are taught to measure power in external ways. Power is portrayed as money, influence, control, or authority over others. None of these things guarantee peace. In fact, some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world are restless, anxious, deeply unfulfilled. Why? Because true power doesn't come from what you control outside of you. It comes from what you master within you. When nothing and nobody controls you anymore, you stop being a prisoner of external noise. People's opinions cannot shake you. Failure cannot break you. Success cannot intoxicate you. The storms of life may come, but they cannot uproot you, because your roots are planted deep in self-awareness and self-mastery. That is peace, knowing that no matter what chaos is happening around you, you carry serenity inside you. Living with inner peace doesn't mean life will be perfect. It means you stop fighting battles that don't belong to you. You stop trying to prove your worth to people who will never see it. You stop chasing after validation that you don't need. Instead, you live from a place of wholeness. You find joy in simplicity. You learn to let go of what you cannot control and focus on what you can. And from that, peace flows true power, the kind of power that cannot be bought or stolen. Power to choose your response instead of reacting blindly. The power to stand tall when others expect you to crumble. The power to forgive when bitterness would be easier. The power to keep moving forward when the world tells you to stop. This kind of power is not loud, it is quiet. It is not showy, it is steady. It is not about dominating others, it is about mastering yourself. And once you find it, you become unstoppable. Not because you can conquer others, but because you can conquer yourself. Imagine the strength of a person who is no longer disturbed by criticism, no longer enslaved by fear, no longer addicted to approval, no longer chained by toxic attachments. Imagine the freedom of someone who knows who they are, what they stand for, and what truly matters. That person is untouchable. That person is free. That person lives with inner peace and true power. So, my friends, understand this. Real freedom is not just about breaking external chains, it is about cultivating internal mastery. When nothing and nobody controls you anymore, you rise above the noise, the chaos, and the games of this world. You live with a calm spirit and a strong soul. And that is the ultimate victory. My friends, life will always try to put you in boxes. People will try to limit you, fear will try to silence you, and circumstances will try to chain you. But today, you know the truth, nothing and nobody controls you anymore. You are no longer a prisoner of opinions. You are no longer bound by fear. You are no longer chained by victimhood, toxic attachments, or society's borrowed definitions of success. You are free to live, free to choose, free to rise, and free to create a life that reflects your true self. So from this moment forward, walk with courage. Speak with confidence, live with clarity, because your destiny is not in the hands of others. It is in your own hands. And when you embrace that truth, you are unstoppable. Remember this, your freedom is not given to you. It is claimed by you, and once you claim it, nobody can take it away. Stand tall, live boldly, and let your life be the loudest declaration that nothing and nobody controls you anymore.